Before the dizzying career of the English scientist Isaac Newton, there was no clear line between religion and science. It seemed natural to subject everything to God's laws. And scientific theories were put forward by the priests themselves, since they were the ones who had an excellent education at that time. The English physicist, mathematician and astronomer, the author of the main laws of mechanics and universal gravitation Isaac Newton, who was born in 1643 and died in 1727, was sure of the existence of the Creator. Why did the outstanding scientist not doubt this, and how did he manage to prove that God exists? Once, talking to his friend, also a scientist, Isaac Newton asked him, "How can it be that you do not believe in God, while studying the exact sciences? All people are different." "You believe, but I do not," answered the friend. "Well, if there is no God, then how did our whole world come into being?" The physicist did not calm down. "Why do you want to find some logical explanation? The world came into being by itself, out of nothing, chaotically," the atheist answered. Isaac remained silent. But after some time, he invited the entire world of modern science to his laboratory. Among the invitees was his unbelieving friend. There were many interesting things in the laboratory of the famous physicist. Objects with mechanical elements and complex exhibits decorated it. But the most unusual and eye-catching was the model of the solar system, which was in a separate room. In the center of it, a lantern symbolizing the sun shone. It was surrounded by planets with satellites rotating around it. Everyone present froze in amazement. His atheist friend was also amazed by what he saw. "What a delightful installation! Tell me, where did you get it?" "I want one too," his atheist friend asked. "I didn't get it anywhere," Newton answered. "Did you invent it yourself?" The question was heard. "Of course not. It's just that after my latest experiment there were a lot of unnecessary things left, which I took to the garbage dump." But suddenly thunder roared, the clouds opened up, all these things fell into place by themselves, the wires connected, current flowed through them, the planets began to spin by themselves. "You're kidding me. Such a well-oiled system could not have been created on its own. And tell me, what is more complicated, the solar system itself or its model?" Newton asked. "Of course, the solar system itself. And why did you ask me this question?" "I want to ask you, why does a simple model require a creator, while a more complex system arose from chaos?" My atheist friend stood silently and did not know how to retort. Isaac added, "Obviously, since our world has logic, then there must be a mind that came up with this logic." But this is not the only visual proof of the existence of the Creator that Newton demonstrated. One day, his fellow scientist, Frank Otten, who belonged to the category of skeptics, almost atheists, decided to make fun of Newton at a scientific symposium and sarcastically asked him, "Who has the power to so miraculously collect the bodies of the dead, scattered into dust, in order to form new bodies?" In response, Newton silently took a handful of iron dust, mixed this dust with earthen dust and asked, "Who will select the iron filings from this mixture?" In the general bewilderment, the scientist took a large magnet and began to move it over the mixture. Movement was detected in it, a rustling sound was heard, and the iron filings began to stick to the magnet. Newton looked seriously at those present and said, "He who imparted such power to a soulless stone, can't he accomplish more through our souls, when they will need to clothe themselves in their former, but renewed bodies?" It is surprising that such a great physicist, who discovered the laws of universal gravitation using falling apples, was known to others in his time. Namely, his piety. His knowledge of the Bible was so profound that it could silence the wisest monks and bishops. He spent most of his life not only studying the natural sciences. He studied physics, optics, and mathematics, by the way, and created differential integral calculus. Being a super-religious person, he devoted the lion's share of his time to theology and biblical studies. Even the volume of his written works made it clear that he pored over religious topics rather than scientific ones. He explained this imbalance simply: gravity explains the motion of the planets, but it cannot explain who made them move. Only God can explain everything. He knows everything that happens and everything that must happen. Maybe Newton began to take a deep interest in science and study it in order to scientifically prove the existence of God? And I must say, he succeeded. As you can see, his arguments for the existence of the Creator cannot be argued with.